Hello, my name is Marie Young, and we are Conscious Leadership with the Enneagram. And today I'm talking to healthcare executive and consultant, Michael Peteroy. Welcome, Michael.
Hi, S. Marie. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, thank you for being here, being willing to be on camera and share with us today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So you relate to Enneagram 9.
I'm a nine.
Okay. Tell us why you relate and identify to the 9.
Well, being a nine, you know, being a nine allows me to sort of sit back and observe a group and listen and really do more listening than talking. I appreciate the ability to observe the group and hear them out, let them be the contributors, and really only chime in when I feel like they need me to.
Ah, so you're referring to that more reflective, withdrawing way that the 9 has.
Yeah.
Yes. So say more about that. If somebody springs a question on you or you're put on the spot in a meeting, how is that for you?
Especially in a leadership role, I see myself as, sometimes a subject matter expert or a guide, but I also see my role as sort of the nurturer and letting them take the spotlight too.
Mm.
So if they need me to provide information, I'll do that. But I really like to be a minimalist in those situations and be more of a um, be more like the conductor of the orchestra and not so much playing the instruments.
Right, right. Okay. So you're more comfortable with other people being having the spotlight than you are.
Well, yes, that's true for sure.
Yes. And speaking to having everyone have their say, that is definitely one of the gifts of the 9 is seeing all points of view and allowing for everybody to have their own opinions.
Yeah, you call it a gift. I do like to, and I've been called sort of the harmonizer, right? It's seeking common ground and and finding that those areas of agreement so that we can move forward. So yeah, that's I see that as my role sometimes too.
Oh, absolutely. And that is a definite gift. And Michael, especially in today's world where we are so polarized and everybody is standing in their own opinions, we need people like you that are bridges and bring people together.
At the same time, there is right and wrong, and there is a right way and a wrong way. And that's why, at the same time that I'm sitting back and listening and observing, sometimes you do have to be traffic cop and redirect. So
Mhm.
there are times when I do have to put up my hand and say, okay, stop, redirect, and there are those times too. So, it's not a free for all, and there is right and wrong. It's not all about compromise. There is right and wrong, but we have to find those times to be where there's compromise and times where we are setting boundaries.
Setting boundaries.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes.
Yes. And that's a big issue for 9s, boundaries. Say more about that.
Well, um, I know what you mean about it being an issue, right? I mean, we want to do right by everybody. We want to, I mean, I know not everybody feels this way. I was about to say we want to make everybody happy. Not everybody wants to make everybody happy, but we do, I believe it's not a zero-sum game, right? There doesn't have to be a loser. We can have a situation where everybody comes out a winner. So I do like to try to come to those solutions. I don't have to, you don't have to lose in order for me to win. So yes, I do like to drive to that kind of solution. But like you say, there are, but we do hit those boundaries sometimes. So sometimes, depending on how the other players are playing, we do hit a boundary sometimes and say, well, no, we can't go past this point. We can't, if you're talking about some kind of contract negotiation or something, maybe it'll be a price or a timeline or something. You say, no, that's a hard stop. Can't go past that.
And you talked about the difference that, there's definitely a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. When you feel strongly and there's a right way to do something that's not being followed, how is it for you then standing up and making your case?
Well, I mentioned time and money, and I also come from the world of healthcare, and there's also quality and safety. And that's another one that sometimes you have to stand up and say, we can't bend on that either, right? We come from the world of, let's say, I come from the world of pharmacy. We can't make any errors or somebody will get hurt or sick, right? So
That's
we
right.
have to keep those quality standards up. So can we negotiate on that quality standard? Well, no. In that case, then the money does have to be the thing that bend, or the time has to be. So, yeah, that's when you have to step forward and say, then Michael, who's usually the softy, who's trying to meet everyone's needs, has to get tough and say, sorry, can't bend on that.
And when somebody pushes you to the edge, how is that for you,
How
getting pushed to the edge?
I can do it. I'm secretly a tough guy underneath. So yeah,
I know that.
I can do it, but then I feel, I don't like it, but I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. Then I might feel sort of guilty later, but I'll do it.
And when you're in that kind of power place, how does it feel?
Well, especially in a leadership role, you have to be very careful and sensitive to being a tough guy, because people look at you and take that to heart. And oh, Mike was a jerk today, and people take that home with them and take that very seriously. So you have to be very diplomatic sometimes, and you can't just, if I were, and certainly when I was earlier in my career, I learned lessons that way. And you can't just bully your way through a situation. You have to, and then this is where my natural nine was helpful. You have to, you can help people come to that same position and see things that way, right? So, you can really come back around to that same side, right? Say, okay, this is a hard stop, but let me help you get to that same place in a nice way.
And you mentioned feeling guilty.
Yeah.
When you get upset or take a stand strongly.
Well, because again, being a nine, I want to sort of make everyone happy, right? So if you can be firm in that nice way and bring people around in a good way, then it's fine. But if they're being obstinate and I just have to slam the foot down, yeah, then I go home and I say, oh gee, I had to be, yeah, it just doesn't rub me the right way, right? So yeah, but I can live with that, and just sort of let that wear off. But yeah, it's not my natural, not my natural way.
So would you say that's a challenge for you to be comfortable with conflict?
I feel like I've learned over the years to live with that, it's one of those skills that you have to practice and learn. And yeah, I don't, it's just like anything that you're not good at naturally. You practice it and you do it, and then you say, I don't like doing it, but I have to. And yeah, and then but I do it when I have to. Try
Yes.
not to have to, right? And try not to get right, and try not to get yourself in the situation where that's happening. And I had a boss tell me one time, oh, Michael, you're learning skills that you hope you never have to use again. But you do have to use them again later on. You keep those in your back pocket and you hope you don't have to use them a lot. But yeah.
Yes. Yes. So over the years, you've become more comfortable with handling conflict, it sounds like.
Yes.
And the hardest part is handling the inner conflict.
Right. I'd rather, being a nine, I would just rather, have the path of least resistance, have everybody get along. But, that's just not, that's not just not in a leader's fortune, right? A leader has to, everybody, not just a leader, right? Nobody has a clear path in their day every day. Everybody has conflict in their day and stuff that they have to deal with. So,
You're right. As a
get
leader, you
over it,
do
right?
have
Deal
to
with it.
deal with conflict, and that's not comfortable for a nine.
In your professional life, in your personal life,
In your yeah.
in real life,
Yes, in real life.
stuff happens.
It's all real life.
Right. Stuff
Yes.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff happens. Stuff happens. And what would you say, Michael, is your biggest challenge?
I think one of the big challenges I've had in my professional life as a leader, and I talked about, liking to, and you've got the impression through what we've talked about so far, how I like to sort of sit back and listen and observe, that sometimes that can be misunderstood as disinterest, right? Or detachment. And I'm not at all disinterested or detached, right? I'm actively observing. So people don't want a leader who's not active. So as a leader, you really have to learn to play the role of an active leader and step up and sort of stretch yourself into these more, play the role, I'll say, of an active leader. So that's been a challenge.
So it sounds like that's been a real growth edge for you to learn how to be more outward, more expressive.
I mean, Esmery, even honest, like doing a video like this, I'd rather be watching a video like this than appearing, than appearing in it. But so one of the growth opportunities for me is saying yes to things like this and stepping out front and doing that kind of thing. And in my leadership role, when I see potential leaders who I can see are potential nines, I try to mentor them in that way. And they'll say, oh, I see leadership potential in you. And they'll say, well, I'm not like you, Mike. I don't want to be out in front of the group. And I say, oh, I think you're more like me than you know. That what you're seeing here is not my natural state. These are learned behaviors, and you can exercise that muscle too, and you can be a leader too. So yeah, it's something I try to develop, and I try to show other people that they can develop that too. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful mentoring. Michael, and really being self-aware and putting yourself in the other person's shoes and observing when somebody is more that reflective type rather than an assertive or expressive type, and then helping them. And that, so many gifts of the nine, of being the diplomat, of seeing all sides of an issue, are the exact leadership qualities that we need for this time and place, where every situation, not every situation, but so much of our culture is polarized.
Yes, I can see that. And, it's hard. I'd say one of the other challenges is, it's hard to get a word in sometimes too, when everyone's fighting, and those other types, which are more eager to be first to speak.
Yes, the more assertive types.
And I'm the one who I'm waiting for someone to call on me. Mike, what do you think? And sometimes you never get called on. So, and that's very frustrating for me. So I think my input is so valuable that they should be wanting to hear from me.
And they should be asking you to
yeah,
speak.
like,
yes.
Oh God, what does Mike think?
Out.
Yeah, like, why don't they want to know what I think? So that can be a challenge sometimes too. And again, I have to learn to just speak up. It's not sometimes, I was taught when I was a kid, don't interrupt people when they're speaking. Guess what? Sometimes you have to interrupt those people who never stop talking.
That's right. Or you will never get your voice heard.
Right. So
thank you for bringing that up. Yes, that's a real growth edge to learn to not wait to be called on, but to insert yourself into a conversation or into a meeting, especially.
Or else, the meeting ends and they never heard from you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, I want to bring one more thing up that's a challenge with a lot of nines, and that is having your own needs come first.
Yeah.
Is that difficult for you?
Sometimes you're doing so much listening and compromising and taking care of everyone else that, yeah, you find, and I think this is something that I've gotten better at through the years as well. But, you have to really carve out your own. I mean, that's one example, right? That's speaking up for yourself. Right.
Yes, that's a good example.
He's speaking and she's speaking and they haven't spoken yet. So I can save that. I could do an offline email. No, I deserve a voice too. Right.
Absolutely.
Or you know what? I was going to take a personal day next week, but I could see they really need me to work. You know what? In my earlier career, I've canceled a lot of days off and vacations, and it's really not worth it, honestly, in the end, right? Take your time, the time you need for self-care. Take your time off, speak up for yourself. Nines, right? Do it, right? Do it, because really nobody else is going to take care of you as well as you need to take care of yourself. So yeah, I feel like only now, and I'm not young anymore, only now am I really learning to do that. So with your help, Marie, I'll say that.
Well, thank you, Michael. And I've seen so much growth in you over the years that we've known each other.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, anything else that you want to add about your personal journey as a nine leader, or just a nine person in this world?
I've mentioned this to you, privately, is that these topics that we discuss, it's uncanny that, and you said before, well, it's all real life, right? But these things we talk about, they apply in our work life, in our home life, in our with our family, with our friends. It's so applicable to everything, and it has helped me in so many self understanding through the Enneagram and being a nine. It's just helped me in so many aspects. So I really do appreciate all of that, and so yeah. So thank you. I want to thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome, Michael. And I want to thank you for being so committed to your own growth and the growth of other people around you as well.
Oh,
Your mentorship clearly shows through, and
yeah.
your just genuine care for other people.
Thank you.